All right, hello everyone. It's me. Don't know if you expected me to sound like this, but here I am. Okay, so today we are going to be doing Leon Trotsky. I know you guys have requested. Wait, hold up. Today we're going to be doing Leon Trotsky. I know you guys have requested a portrait tutorial for quite a long time now. Well, long as in about week and a half. That's about how long it took for me to get to where I am now, which in retrospect is quite short actually. But yeah, I'm glad to have been getting all the community support I have. I thank you guys a lot for that, and the fact that I've been trending on Reddit uh, probably 15 times in the past week. So that's great. I've gotten a lot of commission orders, gotten a lot of requests. Joined the Road to 56 mod team. That's fun. They're really great people over there. You should definitely go check out the mod that we're going to be doing updates soon. April 7th. That's a bit of a leak. I don't know if they're going to be angry at me. Anyway, yeah, so it's been pretty great. Actually, I had done portraits before and just never posted them to Reddit. And they weren't as good as quality. I didn't really work on, getting the redness in the face and the deepness of the shadows and whatnot. But I did have practice priorly, and I'd been sort of working my own sub alternate history mod that I sort of gave up on just because of the amount of time it would take, and me being one person, it was generally unrealistic. But then I eventually went on to this is just Stalin. Actually, finally updated him, got all the wrinkles and even the mole up here. You can see a definite improvement right here. I mean, yeah, I got rid of all that ridiculous sheen. I do agree, his face did look like rubber. I got Vasily here. But anyway, so just a disclaimer, this is actually Paradox's portrait. Well, not this one, but this one. This was the original portrait. I don't know if you guys can tell, but honestly, his eye is completely messed up. His hair is skin color. His nose is too sharp right here. I just basically touched it up. And when I originally posted, like the touch up, some of you said, "Well, I can't see the difference between the two photos," but here it is. Quite a difference. Anyway, but yeah, this is paradoxes, and so what I did and why I included there is just to show that I had originally done something and updated it, and then I made James W. Ford, which was the vice president ticket for Earl Browder. And that's what I posted there, and that's what I was really trying to show off. And you guys seem to like him too, so it's always good. Uh, yeah, and then I got to him, and we're not going to talk about him. I mean, I might a few times reference how bad this portrait is. It's a bit too ambitious here, and he's definitely like very, very rubbery and very not detailed, and I really need to redo this attempt. Actually, what's funny is I accidentally deleted this entire file. Luckily, I had saved all the PNGs, but I deleted this entire file over here, and yeah, so I used to have a lot more portraits stored along this bottom right side here. But anyway, let's get to the actual portrait making. So, the first thing you want to do uh, is that, oh, well, to clear up something, a lot of you may have like been asking how exactly I do this, like whether I draw it or not. No, I don't draw them from scratch. I don't like have a separate window, like, drawing it. That would be, I think, ridiculous. I know there is a portrait maker who does it out there, and his portraits are pretty good quality, but I can't remember his name right now. But yeah, I like his portraits, but he does it the long way, taking like a reference photo and literally like trying to redraw it, which I think is just too much work and completely unnecessary to get portraits like of this quality. Um, you can do that just the way I'm going to show you. So no, I do not paint them from hand, and you don't really need to. Okay. So what you do need to do is colorize them and then go from there. Now, going from there is not as easy as it sounds. Uh, Definitely, it is much harder to do it painting by hand. However, it is not a breeze this way. Most portraits I do take probably an hour and a half. Depending, some take significantly less. Some take 3 hours. I actually was working on a portrait for 3 hours today. That's not just because, it's like I'm trying to add more detail, and it's because maybe the original portrait was incredibly undetailed, it was fuzzy, it was whatnot, and I had to fix up a lot of it. Or maybe I include going back, because a lot of times I do go back on the portraits, like I let it sit for a night and then I say, oh, okay, I'm gonna just stop right here. And that's always a good idea. Never just like I never post my portraits straight away when I finish. I either go out and do something else, I go and browse, like YouTube for a bit, I sleep, and then I come back the next day and I look at my portrait and see, is this to the quality I want it to? Because trying to just do it straight, you're probably not going to recognize a lot of the issues, and that's what happened with Stalin. Is I think I posted him a bit too fast because I was a bit too ambitious with it, and yeah, and then I ended up making him look like a rubber chicken. So that was the reason um, why I suggest always to leave the portraits for a night, come back, see what you need to fix, or well, not a night, but a certain amount of time. Okay. So this is the colorization process. You want to select the area. Now this is the skin that you want to color. Okay, go to select and mask. And actually, I'm going to link a good video for colorization down below. That's a bit more informative. That where I learned how to do colorization. That helped me initially. And so basically, unless you already know or just want to search it up for yourself, but I will include that link. Smooth it out up here. Click OK. Press Q. Go in here and just sort of get all those places that you don't want selected out. So in this case, the glasses and then the eyes and the mustache. Now, this is actually not for a commission. I do have a decent amount of commissions lined up. I got a significant amount done today. But this one is not one of them. I'm just doing this because some people asked, and also I've been wanting to do a Trotsky remake, and plus it felt fitting given I did Stalin. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do this. And also, just something to clear up. You may have not seen my most recent post, but I am putting a hold on commissions for right now until I can get all my current ones done, just because I can always put them on a back pedal and just like, leave them for later, but I'd prefer just to not have that lingering over me as I'm trying to get these other ones done, because if I allow people to continue giving commissions, it fills up my emails. It just puts more stress on me. Even if I tell them like, it's going to be a while, it's still like there and pending, and I'd rather it just be like non-existent at all. And so if you do have a commission and you do want it done, just wait on for it now. It should be by the end of this week or maybe next week when I reopen commissions again. And then you can go ahead and give them to me there. And it is $5 a portrait. I know that might be tight on money for some of you. Just contact me. We can work it out somehow. But yeah, I definitely need the money. For doing this. It's actually been really nice getting some money for this. Yeah, and I wish I could do it for free, but quite honestly, the amount of time it takes to do these is just doing it for free would just be way too taxing. Um, Especially since it takes up so much time where I could be making money other ways. So yeah, uh, and I appreciate your guys' patience with doing these, especially those ordering commissions. I mean, I don't know how long you usually expect, but I try to get commissions back as quickly as I can. I know this doesn't seem like quickly since I'm not doing a commission, but yeah, I'm glad you guys have been bearing with me and have been pretty good about it. Yeah. So just going to continue doing this. So I don't know if you guys saw my most recent, I don't like that. If you saw my most recent post where I was talking about like comments that are just, pointless, just like saying, oh, I don't like this or whatever, the old one's better. When I was talking about that, I'm just saying like it just, if you're one of those people who feels the desire to go out of the way to do that, please don't. It's really it doesn't bother me too much. It just sort of pisses me off because then I open up my phone and my phone has a ton of different Reddit messages constantly. My phone's been blowing up. And it's just I don't want to open my phone, go onto Reddit, waste that time all just to see I don't like this. I mean, it's just, I don't know if you guys have ever spent an incredibly long time on doing stuff and put like a bunch of craft into your work, but it's not a pleasant thing to have someone say like I don't like this, and especially when they're not giving any criticism. Like, I trust me, I don't mind the criticism. All you people saying that, Stalin looked like, his face was made of low quality plastic. I completely understand where you were coming from there. I get it. And I respect that. Like, when you point that out, I might counter a little bit. Like, I posted the one thing like, oh, people, and just in case you didn't know what Stalin looked like, that was mainly for people who were claiming like, oh, this doesn't resemble Stalin, and that was my argument against them, is that it does, because I still hold firm that this does resemble Stalin at the very least. But yeah, no, I get what you guys were saying with that, and obviously I fixed it. But if you're one of those people who feels the strange need to go out and just say I don't like this, and I don't know what you're expecting out of me to delete the portrait, change it. I don't understand why you would waste your time doing that, but anyway, just please don't do it, because it not only wastes your time but it wastes mine too. And I already get enough notifications as it is, so just please don't. I respond to stuff on Reddit because I think it's someone asking questions, or maybe someone like asking for commissions and whatnot. Like, I really not going on there expecting just to see some pointless, not insult, but like debasing. Just, oh yeah, I don't like this paradox. The original is better, whatever. Like, yeah, keep that opinion to yourself. It does nothing for me nor you. I mean, you can argue it all you want, but at the end of the day, I'm not taking it down. I'm not changing it. I'm not doing anything else. So I really, really don't get the point. Anyway, yeah. So this here is just, I hope you guys can see what I'm doing over here. I probably should have gotten the add-on that shows down here what I'm doing and whatnot. I'm not using any complex key commands. Quite honestly, I don't know that many complex key commands. Yeah, I'm just taking my time doing stuff. Okay, so now that all that is deselected, what you want to do is you want to go over here, bottom corner, click this little button, then go to solid color. Okay, now, wait, hold up. If that happens to you, if it just starts going grayscale, then just go up here, go to mode, and then just go to RGB color, because it'll be on grayscale, because it sort of tunes itself to grayscale if everything is gray. I don't know why Photoshop does that by default, but it does. And go to solid color, and then what you're going to want to do is you want it to keep somewhere like between this orangey reddish area, and you want to go over in this sector generally. And so you want to go on that, and then you're going to switch it to either overlay or color. Now, one of the different ones work at different times, and there's no real best one, either color or overlay. I tend to usually go with color because it generally works out, but occasionally I do go with overlay. Now with overlay, like, you get a brightness like this, but sometimes you might want to lower the opacity to get it more nice. Now overlay for this one isn't really that good, but for some darker photos you might want to. Now you can theoretically, like, shift it down or whatever, but then you make Trotsky look like he's a different race, and that's not always fun. So yeah, so I'd go with color usually. Now he looks like an orange person now. But yeah, and then just work it around here. Now, getting the color right is very annoying sometimes, because you can look at your own skin tone, but it's not in the same lighting, and not everyone has the same skin tone, and this is one of the most annoying things about doing these portraits is getting that skin tone right. So what I usually do is I just cross-check it with other things. I'm just like, okay, I need to make this slightly lighter. Right about there. Yeah, that's good. And then always later you can work on it more. I will in the future be posting different things and techniques you can do for either fixing photos that you may have messed up on or during, photos, things that you can do better. This isn't going to be a full tutorial. This is going to be basic, general. I mean, it's going to be pretty long, but it's going to be decently general. Now, I actually don't like to color the eyes off the bat. I usually save that for later. But you can if you want to. It's just the same process. Just select them, select and mask, smooth it, press OK, go over it with color, etc., etc. Now, Trotsky's in a white garb here. Now, the only issue with that is I don't really like his white garb. I might end up changing the color on it later because it's definitely not preferable because this isn't something you'd wear per se in the Soviet Union if you were to somehow come to power. But for now, it's fine. Like I said, I can change in the past. And now we don't need to colorize his hair because his hair is naturally gray. His glasses, I don't know what color they are, but quite honestly, I'm generally unconcerned. I'm going to just probably leave them as like a shade of black or gray because they're not too important to the portrait at least. So now just select these, merge layers, and then you're done with that. Oh, one thing about this portrait, always try to find pictures that have the most shadow contrast, um, and like basically the best highs and lows in terms of depth. You usually want a portrait that's pretty expressive too, like them not looking directly at the camera. Now, this one of Trotsky actually has decent amount of depth for looking directly at the camera, and now I actually don't really like them just looking directly at the camera because I don't think it makes as good of portraits. But for Trotsky, and for whatever reason, a lot of communist Russian leaders, they don't have great portraits or they don't have great pictures of themselves. Like Stalin was a pain to find a good picture for him. Like it took a while. And then even when I found him, it didn't have the best result. I'm looking back at Stalin and I'm like, this place is too dark up here, but whatever. Um, yeah, but always go for the deepest and most expressive uh, quality picture. Like not expressive in the way of like they're moving or yelling, and it's just one where they're not necessarily just standing straight up facing the camera straight forward because usually that's not great. And also, if you can't manage to find a photo that has like good lighting or whatever, you can make your own lighting with the dodge tool and the burn tool. Now, I don't really like using these tools. I try to use them as least when I can because the light that comes from them is often very unnatural. But if you absolutely need to, you can. And then just one thing to make sure of is to always pinpoint one direction of light. Now, this can actually be helped by the glint in the eyes. We can tell from Trotsky's glint that the light is coming from about right here. It's coming down on him. So, I mean, probably more center on his forehead, but I've selected the area around him, so you can't really draw it perfectly. But yeah, and that helps you direct the light. One thing you want to avoid at all costs is washing out your portraits. For instance, where's the portrait? This portrait right here. This guy in the base photo that was given for a commission, he wanted me to do this portrait or this picture. I really didn't want to, but just because I didn't feel like it had deep enough. But like the face is washed out, so it just looks more plastic. It looks more dry, and it just looks less expressive. It looks less like a portrait as opposed to this. I mean, you can see the difference. Um, and that's mainly because this picture was taken out in just bland sunlight. it had direction from all sides. It was practically impossible to get shadow because everything was so bright. So because of that, and it was also snowing around him, so that reflected back up. Because of that, you lack shadow, and that lack of shadow leads to less expressive portraits, and portraits that just come off generally worse. Now, this isn't a bad portrait per se. They're much worse shading and things, but you just want to generally try to find the one with the richest contrast. So now that this is done, go to select and mask again, smooth. Now sometimes smooth will like cut off certain things, not particularly with Trotsky. I mean, you don't really like that, but after you smooth it out, you might want to go back in and do some stuff because it will cut off in some cases some of the parts you want to keep because it does smooth everything out. And you want to make sure you have as much as possible. So that looks pretty good. I'm gonna go back up here a little bit. Yeah, so then just take your eraser tool, get a nice big size, erase it all. And then make sure to get that the edges because there will be tiny little fractions of edges that are left on the outside. Okay, so now once you have this, now one thing I used to do is I did used to go into filter and then stylize and then use the oil paint filter first and then get it nice and brushed up. You know, I'd probably bring it down a bit more here, bring the stylization up a bit more, and I'd do something like that, you know, just to blur the colors, you know, before I took it away. But what I found out is that removes a lot of the detail as well, and I just end up adding it in back later, so it's pointless. So don't do that per se unless you get like a really grainy photo like my well actually with my Vasily photo it was extremely grainy because there's only one photo of him and it's grainy as hell. And I actually ended up brushing him before I even took him in to colorize him. Now the reason is because if I would have colorized him and then tried to brush him, that would have screwed up a lot of the shading. Now I could have used the oil paint filter and just gotten all that out, but I didn't want to like ruin like, you know, the lines in his eyes and whatnot. You want to keep those primarily intact, so I've just found out that oil brushing or using the oil paint feature is not the best way to go. So then you're going to take him, drag him from here, drag him up here, bam. Now he's going to be significantly bigger, but you're going to have to cut him down. Always keep an eye when you're doing this of these two up in the corner. Make sure that they're roughly the same, like in the same percentage, as in you want them both to be 33 something. Like they don't need to be perfect, obviously, but you want them to be close. And then for sizing these, there's no particular way per se to do these. Like there's no solid size or ratio that I have. I just sort of fit them to where like, you know, I'm like, oh, that looks good. Uh, if you want to keep a solid size or ratio and like have some sort of overlay to do them with, go ahead. I mean, obviously it's your choice, your portraits, however you want to do them. But for me, I just don't really concern about it too much. I just sort of I'm like, hey, that's good right there. And yeah, and so always keep this on you in the bottom right. This is just a blank background. Now you can find this online, and I'll probably put a link to it down in the description. I'll see if I can. Yeah, but you want this, and then just duplicate the layer, bring it up. I already had one. Okay, whatever. I had one right here, and I didn't even know. Okay, yeah, so then you have a nice background, so that's good. So you're not like having people behind them. Now, one thing I did notice is, wow, so I must have accidentally erased some of, I did. How did that happen? That's odd. So somehow I managed to erase behind his glasses. I didn't even think anything selected there. That was interesting. So yeah, so now I'm just gonna have to put him back in again. So I'll delete this one. So that was lucky that I just happened to be finicking around with it and then realized that I had deleted something behind his glasses because that would have been bad. Just adjusting it here. Now I know I'm no Bob Ross, but I hope my voice isn't too bad. I don't know how it's really going to come out, and you never do when you're recording. But yeah, make him slightly bigger. It's raining pretty hard outside my house right now. Pretty hard. Hope nothing floods. Yeah, and I do apologize for everyone who doesn't have. That's good enough. I mean, how's my Stalin look? Yeah, I do apologize for everyone who doesn't have Photoshop. I can't really help you there as much as I'd love to. Uh, I would love to do an MS Paint tutorial, but I don't think I have the talent to do that, um, to make something work in MS Paint. So, sorry, I'm a bit lost on that one. But if you ever do get Photoshop and you do want to do this, you can go ahead. I believe they have a free trial or possibly a student thing, if I'm correct. Anyway, so what you want to first do is you want to take the brush to it. Now, I keep my brush strength around uh, 20 to 40%. Usually I keep it down a little bit lower, like around 30 when I'm doing these initial blurs. And what you want to do is you want to get like the graininess and the realism per se out of it just by making small brush strokes. It's not too long, but depending on the picture, it can take a decent amount of time. Now, what you don't want to do is you don't want to go like and just blend out all the detail. That's not preferable. You want to make small brush strokes and just smooth it out. Don't your goal should be to get rid of the graininess. Don't try to just, blend it all into one color. And you want to definitely preserve the highlights and preserve the depth. Now, this isn't making these portraits is I don't know whether it's hard or not, because for me I guess I have an artist's eye per se. I just can see how it's supposed to be and try to get it that way. For other people, I'm not sure if it'll be hard. Yeah, but I do just sort of naturally see how I want it to be, and then I just use tools to make it. This is sort of a tutorial on how to make it the way you want, but if you lack artistic inclination, I don't know, because I can't really explain how I'm able to know what I want it to look like. Maybe just pull up a picture next to you and just like look at it and see like, oh yeah, I want to make it look like this. I can't really help you there. But yeah, you want to just smooth it out. Trotsky's looking nice and smooth. Now, your best friend is going to be this tool, the smudge. Your second best friend is going to be the brush. Now, a lot of people are like, well, why don't you just use, like the burn and dodge tool to get everything, to get that darkness and richness, because the whole point of making these into portraits is to bring out the brights and darken the darks, and to just make it pop in a sense. Now, the dodge and the burn tool, well, they are useful in some cases. They just, like I said earlier, they provide unnatural light, and when you're dealing on a meticulous level, you can't just sort of just like broad stroke it, because each one only deepens or brightens one of these three categories: midtones, shadows, or highlights, and that will end up bringing out one but not the other. And so you just have to go back and forth, but they do slightly adjust the others, so it's redundant and it gets a worse result than just doing it by hand with the brush. And that's where the big meticulous long part comes in, is doing everything with the brush. It's a pain, not gonna lie. It takes a while, but you get a good result. And yeah, and so what you want to do is, you don't particularly I like to keep Earl Browder up here as a reference for like the man the gun style that I'm trying to get to. You don't particularly want to just like do this right here, like this giant bright spot. That's why I tried on Stalin, but the thing is, you only want to do that if it's sort of inherent in the photo as it already is. What you want to do is you want to make the highlights on the smaller parts that have a little bit of uh, a little bit of light gleaming off them. You want to bring out those definitely parts, like this part on the eye right here, right under the eyelid, on the eyelid, you know, right here, bottom of the nose especially makes a nice effect. Uh, and also like adding in color, but I'll get to that later. Oh, well, color as in like redness. Yeah, but that's basically what you're going for, is you're trying to highlight all those things. Now you want to get between the point of realism and like making a cartoon. Now that is definitely easier said than done. Oftentimes I'm very disappointed with my work and I end up going back and doing it. I can't tell you how many times that I've not posted something that you will never see because I just decided against it. Because ever since you know this failure over here, I generally decided that, until I get it right, I'm not posting it. And I sort of made that mistake with Stalin today, and you guys definitely let me hear. I was not I was not deaf to that. So actually, I wanted to shout someone out right now. I'm scrolling through my phone. Hold up real quick, because this is a guy who just recently tried his own portrait, and I'm glad that he did. Hold up real quick. I might cut this part out from the video. Okay, so yeah, I just cut out real quick there because I wanted to shout out Sharplez. He is another guy trying out. You can see all my stuff up here. Look, it's a sneak peek of the Road to 56 chat. Yeah, but basically, this is what my bar looks like on a normal day. My mail, Reddit, uh, photos of people, Trotsky, Molotov. That I consider doing Molotov instead of Trotsky. The Godfather. I basically ran one giant playlist of classical music, and it's been going on for a while. Uh, Here's my inbox of all my portraits and stuff. Anyway, so what I wanted to shout out is this guy. Just real quick, he attempted his first portrait, and I know he's probably going to watch this tutorial, but Yeah, good job for first attempt. I see you pretty much left this bottom part alone. That's okay. I mean, I don't like doing that part either. But you definitely have started. I can see you've started to get the brushstrokes just down. It's just a matter of detail, getting those deep details and those light details. And I hope that this will help. But yeah, and I hope to see more people like this in the future trying out new portraits because ultimately it it may threaten my stance as being able to get commissions. But honestly, if I had to give up, getting paid commissions just to see like more and better portraits in the Hearts of Iron community, I'd do that instantly because I like playing mods just as much as the next guy. So yeah. Also, please hire me, Kaiser Ike team. Uh, yeah. But so let's continue. So one thing if you notice right here, just get a little bit of gleam under his nose. Now, usually I save this towards the end, but that's important. Just that little gleam goes a long way. These small, small, small details. Now, you do want to bring out the darkness, make that a little bit deeper. And now, please, if there's one thing you take away from this in doing portraits, do not just end something and just not blend it. Like don't just like extend this out and just leave it like that. It looks glaringly bad. You need to blend the ends of things, okay? Unless for whatever reason it's supposed to just abruptly end, you need to blend it. That will improve your portraits more than anything else in the world. I mean, like if we're looking here, he doesn't have any real problems with ending things abruptly. I actually really like the way he did the eyes in here. Just a little bit too much detail because that is actually a really detailed eye, and also the portrait's way too big. Just as a normal thing, you want to have it at this size. So what I suggest doing is downloading, converting one of the DDS files from the just normal Hearts of Iron game, grabbing one from there. I just grabbed the Earl Browder portrait directly, putting it into Photoshop, and then getting everything down to scale there. It because you want to work on this micro scale. You do not want to work on a macro scale. Working on a macro scale is it's going to be a pain. I mean, you can do it, your funeral, but you really don't want to. Yeah. So just basically you can just do like broad things here. It doesn't need to look nice, but then you go in and you blend it out. It's not about keeping this light, it's just about adding to it, okay? Just think of this whole thing as just like a giant equation of pluses and minuses. Like where do I want to add and where do I want to subtract? It's not really so much about creating new stuff, it's about adding on to what is already there. If you understand what I mean. Like right here. This highlight already exists. You can see a little bit of highlight on the lid of his eye. But the thing is, it's not enough. You want to bring it out, you know. Bring it out. That's too big. Make sure not to use one that's too big. Bring it out and blend it. Now you want to bring that down and make sure. Yeah, there you go. Now it's a little bit more bright. And you can always go back and adjust it later, whatever looks nice. Now you'll notice, I'm sorry if it's jarring, that I keep pulling out to this view roughly whenever I do something. It's just to check it to make sure it looks nice because this is roughly the size you'll see the portrait in game. So if there's a detail which you can't see at this size, don't worry about it. Like if there's like a small little thing in the corner, like I'm not getting that right, but you pull out and it's basically non-visible, don't worry about it. There's no point in wasting time on it because it's not even going to be seen in the game. So keep that in mind. Just trying to pull things out here. Yeah. And especially something what you want to do is when I do these darks, use other colors from the thing. If you hold down Alt on your keyboard, you can just get the dropper. It's a quick select, and then you can select any of these colors wherever you want, and you always use those. Never try to create a new color with the burn tool. It's just not going to work out well because the colors are just so much more natural if you just take them from each places, like especially like the local places. Like, you generally don't want to take a color from over here and use it over here. If you can, I mean, sometimes you can't, but if you can, try to use the color in the local places. So, yeah. Man, my phone just keeps going off. Well, I'm getting a lot more compliments on my fixed Stalin portrait. I'm glad you guys are liking it. Yeah. And so this is a generally slow process. There's no quick part to it. This is the part that's going to irk people. This is the part that's going to probably drive people away. Now, I guess I do have some security in doing these portrait commissions, because it's like, you can learn how to fix your car, or you can just take it into the shop. It's a matter of, how much time you want to spend. Like, sure, if you want to spend 3 hours learning how to, replace one thing and another 5 actually doing it, you can go ahead and save yourself the money. Or you can pay the money, not have to do it yourself. Now, sure, it's at the cost of your own money, but hey, you got it done, and probably more professionally than you could. I mean, not to say that people can't do these professionally, because I'm sure there's plenty of people who could. And if you ever do want like any more help at all, or you want any more suggestions, just let me know. And if at all you want me to live stream these whenever I do them, I totally can. And if that's the case, I can like put up a schedule and whatnot, and you can watch them as I do them, try to learn from them, whatever you want. Yeah, but don't feel free to contact me at any time. I'm usually usually available on my phone. DMing me through Reddit is a good idea. Anyone who's DM'd me probably knows I respond like that. It's really quick. Mainly because I have my phone on me. And a lot of people are like, how do you respond so quick? It's because it's right in my pocket. I feel the buzz and I check it. Because quite honestly, I don't see why that's such a hard thing to do. Anyway, yeah. So a lot of people have been asking me about like portrait mods and whatnot, what I'm going to do in the future. Right now, I'm focusing on just getting commissions done and stuff for the Road to 56 team. Other than that, there's not a whole lot that I'm focusing on too much now. I do really actually want to get done a whole set of reworks for Russia and a whole set of reworks for America. That's been something I've been wanting to do for a while, and get all those portraits redone. And I'm sort of secretly doing it by this tutorial. It's my excuse to the Road to 56 team that no, I'm not pushing off the work I need to do for them. I am rather giving a tutorial. Now they can use the excuse, well, why didn't you do one of our portraits in the tutorial? And I can rebuttal with, well, those portraits don't have good enough pictures to base them off of. Yes, I'm talking to you, Sven. Okay. Anyway, yeah, so that's what I've been doing primarily. Now, I would love it if the Road to 56 team, I'm not trying to drop any hints, but I would definitely love it if the Road to 56 team suddenly decided that they wanted to do a Russia and America complete rework and wanted the portraits for them, so that way I could pursue my dream of making 50 different versions of Trotsky in different poses and see sneaking them into the game. Yeah. Anyway, something I've also been considering doing is the Reichskommissariat leaders for the German Reichskommissariats. I always thought that was interesting, and you gotta love that leather SS officer suit. That's some nice shine right there. Anyway, yeah, I was considering doing those. Now that's a lot more of a stretch. But possibly in the future. Now, one thing you want to do is you always want to keep referencing back to the original photo. You want to see where the highlights are and where the darkness is, because a lot of that is going to be lost when you compress it down to this size. So you want to sort of preserve that, keep it going. Like you see that little glint, that little part right there. It's in here, but it wasn't in there. You want to keep that. So that's very important, is just keep referencing back to that initial photo. Um, keep keep on it, and then you should come out with a better thing. Now that's stretching out a bit too far. Is it? Is it? I don't know. It's just not enough of an angle. Now sometimes things are so small that it's going to be just generally a lot harder to actually do. Um, but yeah, so long as you can get 1 or 2 pixels in there, that's fine. Yeah, and also a huge reason why you don't want to do it on a bigger scale and then try to compress it down later for the DDS and whatnot, is because you'll just end up losing so much of that detail, and that's just not desirable, because you just have to go back in all over again and just try to do it all over again, and it's just, why would you want to do that to yourself? It's quite possible. It's 12:50 right now. I've been going on this for about 50 minutes. This is going to be a long video. I apologize, guys, but I just want to make it extensive as possible. And I will be adding a time lapse at the very, very end. So this probably won't go up until the morning. I'm probably not going to post this tonight. Then again, you you guys will probably be seeing. I'll probably make some edits in the morning as well. Maybe record a little bit more. But especially coming back and revising everything that I did the previous night. Yeah, I'll probably do that tomorrow. That's a bit too dark. Yeah, but in terms of doing other stuff, I'd love to see you guys after this tutorial try some things out if you like to. Like especially the guy I mentioned earlier. Sorry, I keep forgetting your name. But yeah, no, I'd really like to see what you can do after this, and don't don't hesitate to keep to DM me and ask more questions, and request more like information, because I have no problem giving them out. Like I said, if I start seeing more and better portraits on the Steam Workshop, I'm gonna be happy, because that's one thing I've found out, is that we have some very great and talented mod makers on there, but man, is the GFX department lacking. I mean, even for Paradox, struggle to pump out just like 12 portraits game. And I think the main problem is that Paradox needs a whole separate method and whole separate crew for doing the generals, because honestly, they do full-on portraits for every single one of their generals that aren't even used on a leader portrait scale, and I just think that's a waste of time. Like, you should do the generals on a smaller scale, so that way you don't waste the time and you can do more actual leaders. Like, almost that there are way too many generic portrait uses in Paradox, or in Paradox's base game. Sorry. Yeah. I mean, I guess people can't really compare, because I mean, if you look at Kaiserreich or something like that, they just colorize photos. Now Kaiserreich actually does a decent job at making their portraits. I like the way they do them, as in like they're not just colorized photos, they're slightly polished up, but they have their own like style to it. So they don't necessarily like, try to use base game photos, because they would be out of style. So one thing I do give props to with the Kaiserreich team is their consistency. Their portraits look like they're all from the same thing. With Paradox, you don't really get that. You get a portrait from 2016, and then you get a portrait from 2019, and that discrepancy is ridiculous. And they really need to just update the old ones and just stick with one method and say, hey, this is the way we're doing portraits, because that would help a lot. Because I'm tired of seeing like Earl Browder compared to Ignacy, and that's just ridiculous. Like, if the generic or the base game Polish portrait is just so bad. And when I updated him, like, there's a lot of flaws in my update as well. I might polish him up a bit too. But man, their base game one is a doozy. It's not fun at all. It's like the worst portrait in the game, and you can debate me on that, but I don't think you'll be able to find any other examples. I mean, it doesn't matter how many chins Hirohito has, you're not going to be able to top that one in terms of just absolute garbage. That one looks like it was literally just a colorized photo that had the noise filter applied to it. Like, it's I don't understand how they got through Paradox. Gonna be quite honest. Paradox, if anyone's watching it from there, I apologize, but how? Like, who sat there and said, yes, this is a portrait? Like, okay. One thing you do want to do with noses, though, is you want to give them like a more richer, like almost reddish texture. Now, you will be adding red later, but so you want to pull up from here. You want to give them that, because you want to give them like a more bulbous, I guess, and like a definitely like more rounded, like protruding feel to them. I feel like I'm gonna finish this video and my mic quality is gonna be absolute trash, but you know what? I'm not recording for another hour and a half just to do it all over again. Yeah, so the nose is turning out pretty well. Got some nice detail on it. Now you want to do the same thing for the side of the nose. Leon Trotsky's got a pretty big nose. Me and him share some stuff in common. Yeah, I guess you guys can't see my face, but maybe it's best you don't. All right. Yeah. So the nose is looking pretty good. Not gonna lie. Got some good detail over here. Take a little bit, speck maybe of that. Put in here. Get that nice richness. And there, that darker, more reddish tone. You want to avoid gray tones unless it's on like the chin area or the forehead area. Do not try to get gray tones on the nose and around the eyes and cheeks because that's where it's going to be mostly red. Now, obviously, you can get gray tones before you apply like redness, but afterwards you definitely don't want to because then it's just glaring. And especially don't get too gray of tones. You always want to keep some color to them because if they're too gray, they'll just look really, really bad. Yeah. So I hope so far this has been a helpful tutorial. I know it might be a pain to sit through and watch, an hour of just me babbling. But I hope it's helping so far and it's giving you some sort of idea of how I do these. Now I've been working on this for like 45 minutes so far, and I've gotten a decent amount of progress made. But yeah, it does take, and I've been slowed down a little bit because I'm focusing on talking with you guys as well. But yeah, it does take a time. Like it's not anything easy. I apologize if you came in here trying to find some some real right easy way to do stuff. There is none. I apologize. Gotta go through it. You want to get it done, gotta do it the hard way, the long way. It's how life is. Not gonna find the quick fix. I mean, unless you do, in which case, go for it all the way, 100%. I wish there was like just a filter I could press and just spam out, just like, yeah, here, done. I would love that. If some tech nerd out there could use this video as inspiration, go ahead and do that for me. I'd greatly and for the just the world at large. I think we'd all greatly appreciate it. However, I don't think there's any other Bill Gates out there. Just waiting to happen upon this video and think, hey, maybe I should develop an algorithm. Nor do I think it's entirely possible. I mean, maybe it is. I don't know. So now I'm going to color the eyes. Go to color, blue. Trotsky has blue eyes, right? I think he does, right? That's I don't. This isn't Trotsky, but yet it's under the pictures for Trotsky on Getty Images. I don't think there's any colorized photo of him on there. I'm just gonna assume they're blue. That's a bit too blue. Decrease the opacity. There we go. That's a softer blue. Yeah, just get a generally good effect. Yeah, get those eyes working nice and right. A bit too much. Yeah, I want that on the bottom and these more on the side. Yeah, but like I said, I will hopefully get up a time lapse at the end of here unless there's technical complications and I'm just an idiot who doesn't know how to do it. In which case, I apologize. You're probably going to have to sit through all of this. Now you can always put it on like times 5 or 2 speed or whatever YouTube has on it. But yeah, I apologize. I hopefully I should be able to get it up, but I'm not entirely sure. Now you can see already that this is starting to have more of a portrait feel to it. Just the eyes. The eyes are so, you will not believe how much more like a portrait something feels just by adding in the eyes. It is incredible. Just doing this for a long time has shown me how much just a single like glare on the eye can add to a portrait. It's crazy. That the glare on the left side is bad. This right side glare is fine. Man, Trotsky's looking fierce. It's a bit too much glare. I'm going to dull it down a bit. That's good enough for right now. Yeah. But just trying to make my way along. Hope you guys are having a good day or night or whenever you're watching this. I know I am. Because I do actually enjoy doing these. This is one of the fun things. It's like sort of like that's why I like even though it takes it takes a decent amount of time to do these portraits. I sort of lie to the people who ask them just like yeah how long does it take? 45 minutes to an hour and a half. When in reality it generally takes longer because like $5 for an hour of work is reasonable, but when it gets into like multiple hours, that's when you're like, hey, you sure you don't want a little bit more? But I know some of you are tight on money, and I want everyone who plays Hearts of Iron to have some sort of chance at it. And I do really enjoy these things. I actually do. I enjoy making all these. I'm a huge history nerd. If you weren't able to decipher that already, uh, especially Trotsky. I actually have read The Revolution Betrayed. It's a good book. You should too. Even if you're not a commie, go ahead, do it. It's cool. A lot of insight about the Soviet Union. One thing I hold firm, not to get too political here, is just that no matter what you are, whether you're like just a moderate socialist, communist, capitalist, laissez-faire supporter, objectivist, syndicalist, centrist, Bernie supporter, Democrat, Republican, dare I say it, always read, always study politics. I don't. It doesn't matter, you know, uh, what political adherence you have. Can you truly claim to have a belief if you don't know all of the options? That's just my philosophy on it. That's why you read no matter what. You know, I've actually read two Ayn Rand books, The Fountainhead and Anthem. I've read The Wealth of Nations. I've read the Communist Manifesto, gotten into Capital, um, The Conquest of Bread. I've just watched and read thousands more articles. Yeah, What is to be Done, State and Revolution. Uh, what else have I read? 1984 is a good book. Now I know some of you people out there, especially more of you socialists, might be like, "Oh well, Orwell was a revisionist, and he is not to be trusted in his view of the USSR because have you seen his works in Animal Farm?" Now I don't know if you guys understood that as satire, but I do enjoy Orwell. I liked him. I wasn't a perfect guy, but I don't really judge political figures off of their actions. Well, not in that sense. I judge them off of their like theory. For instance, Hitler's theory and actions went hand in hand, and I'm judge. Oh, and I have read Mein Kampf as well. Don't be scared to read something just because you feel like it's controversial. Like if you're scared to read Mein Kampf because you think you might become convinced on it, then you might just be a Nazi. Just saying. But yeah. Um, in terms of politics, like for instance, Trotsky on a personal level, I probably would have not liked him. I mean, he wasn't that great of a guy. Like he did some nasty things. Kronstadt Rebellion put that down pretty hard. I didn't really like that. I like Trotsky near the end of his life a lot more. Um, uh, yeah, but generally, like the person for their political beliefs, honestly, because at the end of the day, why would you care about the person? Who what if Trotsky's ideas were made by Stalin, and he was the one that got exiled? Would that make it? Of course it would change things because like the thing is then you'd start to be worshiping Stalin instead of Trotsky or vice versa, So or well worshiping Trotsky instead of Stalin, but whatever. All I'm saying is that like you shouldn't care about the person because that idea could have embodied millions of other people who are much better or much worse people. And at the end of the day, it should be about their beliefs. It shouldn't be about worshiping them as a cult of personality, you know. And I think that's the most important thing. That's how you avoid things like the USSR, you know. Just stay away from the cult of personality. And also stay politically educated. That's the most important thing. You know, hearing things like, Trump's a fascist or Bernie's a socialist, because I do live in America, is one of the most annoying things that you can get into because both those statements are just generally untrue. Because regardless of political beliefs, I hold firm the idea of uh, factual politics and history above anything else. There's little you could do to convince me otherwise, because quite honestly, it is paramount to preserve what is and what isn't above any sort of bias or preference that you could have. Because like sure, maybe you're someone who really dislikes Trump, so you think going on and calling him a fascist is gonna boost your support, but it just to me it makes you look like an idiot because I'm just like no, Trump is not a fascist. And it also debases and or not debases, but it makes real fascists look less scary because like the word fascist normalized, it becomes a buzzword. Hitler was a fascist, National Socialist, which means coming together as a nation to make that nation greater in a social way, not traditional socialism. I'm sorry to all of those if I just broke your conceptual idea of social national socialism being like traditional socialism. Hitler and the Nazis even outlined that their form of socialism is not to be mixed up with Marxist socialism or traditional socialism, where it's talking about workers' rights rather than their form of socialism was basically the idea that you should come together as a nation to work for the greatness of that nation to make it greater in a way much like fascism being derived from fasci, stronger as a like from the fasci, a bundle of sticks tightened together, one stick breaks easily, a bundle of sticks holds firm together, the idea of stronger as a nation. That's not something that Trump preaches. He does not preach collectivism um, to the scale of like giving aside individual rights and individual ideas for the idea of boosting the nation. Now, Trump is a nationalist in some senses. He does believe in a strong sense of patriotism and supporting the nation, as most presidents do. But no, he is not a fascist. To say that is just wrong. And now to say that on the other side, Bernie is a socialist. Bernie does not support workers control of the workplace and the socialist mode of production above private ownership and the capitalist mode of production. And because of that, he's not a socialist. Now, he is a progressive. He does support, you know, more left, quote unquote, policies, left of for America. I know if any of you people viewing in Europe, you get it a lot more. You know how social democrats operate, but over here in America, we have a lot more trouble discerning that. Um, yeah. Sorry if I'm getting a bit too political. I don't mean to stir anything up. I'm just trying to be as factual as possible while talking about politics in some sense. It's just I get annoyed easily when people are like just factually incorrect about politics. I don't care what side you're on. You could literally be Hitler, and if someone called you an Italian fascist, if someone called Hitler an Italian fascist rather than a German fascist or a National Socialist, I'd get pissed because I'm like, no, that's not true. You know, he's a National Socialist. He is not an Italian fascist. Now there's a difference. You know, or if someone called him a reactionary. You know, I mean, sure, you can make arguments for those things, but generally it's just not true. And I think it's important to preserve that because the minute that definitions lose their meaning, you start descending into dystopia. You know, harkening back to 1984. You don't want that. You want definitions to preserve. And I know everyone's faulty of it. Even I am sometimes, getting those definitions wrong, you know, getting those definitions mixed up and incorrect. But no matter what political adherence you have, there's no excuse and there's no reason why you shouldn't know the truth about words, and you especially shouldn't like get angry when someone tells you, otherwise. Like if someone says, well, Trump is not a fascist, and you just get angry at them, like, well, have you listened to why they're saying that? Maybe it has something to do with them bringing up the definition of fascist, and Bernie's not a socialist. Well, you can't have it both ways, you know. I've said Trump is a fascist before, and some of my, or Trump is not a fascist before, and some of my more right-wing friends, you know, they've said, well, oh yeah, well you're right, but then I turn around and say, well, Bernie's not a socialist, and they're like, well, you can't have it both ways. Definitions are definitions, no matter what you want. Sorry, I'm going on this rant. I just had nothing else to really talk about. You can skip through it if you want. I know this is not a politics channel. I don't mean to incite any political debate. It's just important, What's the point of words if they don't have their use? If they don't mean anything, they just become buzzwords. That's what I hate more than all. The idea of a buzzword. It's just, the sole concept of a buzzword is just flawed beyond belief, and I don't know how people like just sit by and accept it, especially when the media uses it so often. Just like, yeah, buzzwords, it's a new buzzword, buzz, whatever. That's just basically saying, oh yeah, it's a word that no one knows the meaning of, but they use it all the time. Just like the word communist in the 1950s, just like the word fascist nowadays or the word socialist nowadays. People don't know what it means, but they use it all the time. Like Alexandria Cortez calls herself a democratic socialist. She's not. She's a social democrat. She's not even a socialist yet. She's a centrist. I mean, she's a progressive liberal. But honestly, I get why people use it though. They use it to get support because, either people just have disdain for the word or they like the word. But that doesn't excuse you. I mean, like they know what they're doing. Those politicians, they know what they're doing. I mean, it makes perfect sense. The more they use that word or whatnot, the more support they can get it, regardless of whether it's true or not. But just make sure to stay vigilant in a sense. Make sure that that truth is preserved. Now, you guys can guess all you want on what type of what my political beliefs are, if you really are too concerned. But quite honestly, I think for the context, it doesn't really matter. I'm more going on a rant of just don't just don't use a word if you don't know what it means. That's like the takeaway here. If you don't know what it means, just don't use it. It's like not hard. If you really don't like Trump, call him a nationalist. Call him an asshole. Call him anything, really, that, you think he is, but within the definitions. Like, if you call him an asshole, that's like your opinion. You can't really argue that. I mean, I guess you can, but, if you really felt compelled to, Or, call him a patriot, call him a conservative, call him a right winger, whatever you want. Like, just so long as it falls within his actual definitions. Just don't taint words with misinformation, especially, Bernie. Call him a progressive, call him a Democrat, call him a centrist, call him a falsifier, call him a fake socialist, if you really want to. But just don't call him a socialist, you know. Just don't, 'cause it's not true, you know. Just don't say untrue things without like goals. Like, sure, if you have goals like politicians do, go ahead. Like, I understand. Like, although I don't like it, at least they know what they're doing. I have some respect for people who know what they're doing and are purposely intending to do that. Now, I'll fight against that, but I at least have some semblance of respect for that. But what I don't have respect for is people who don't know who aren't like attending, trying to achieve a specific goal and are just doing it out of ignorance. Ignorance is the important part there. Anyway, back to the portrait. I think it's coming along pretty well. What do you guys think? I mean, I know you guys can't say anything because it's pre-recorded, but I think it's coming along pretty well. Fun fact about Trotsky. He actually, when he took refuge in Mexico, he had a grandson. And that grandson, actually, well, this I guess isn't about Trotsky. This is more about just, I guess, his family. He actually had a son that was killed. He actually had a decent amount of family members that were killed. Looking at you, Kamenev. Lev Kamenev was his cousin, killed in the Great Purge. Yeah, but he had a grandson, or yeah, a grandson. I was actually reading a little bit of his biography. Well, the biographical part. He was talking about how he came home and like found Trotsky just like on the floor, and apparently one of Trotsky's last words were ordering his guards to move his grandson's. Well, I think it's his last words or some of them, to order the guards to move his grandson out of out of sight so he wouldn't see him on the floor like bloody and everything like that. One thing people don't know is that Trotsky actually wrestled his assailant to the ground and fought against him and was actually still consciousness for a long time after the ice pick. It just he eventually bled out. Oh yeah, and also the guy who assassinated them, quote unquote, was kicked to shit. Like that guy got beaten really bad. Like the police were in there and his guards were in there. I think he sort of regretted doing that. I mean, for Stalin only works, so far as to like, not get mauled by the police. Um, yeah. But one funny thing is that, like, Trotsky died wrestling his assailant to the ground, and Stalin died in a puddle of his own piss because his guards were too scared to come into the room. I just think that's sort of funny. Hope I'm not, offending any MLs who are here. For those of you who don't follow communist lingo, that stands for Marxist-Leninist, also known as the Party of Stalin in the Soviet Union. Unless, of course, you're a Maoist, in which case you view it in a different light. Yeah, people on the left are complicated. I'm sorry, I keep going on to a tangent of politics. I know some of you are probably going to be pretty annoyed and be like, "Hey, I came here to learn how to make portraits good. I did not come here for a political spiel." Yeah. So right now I'm just getting down like the tiny, tiny details, like those little parts that people would normally miss or say, it's good, but it's not. It's never good enough. Always need to keep working. Get those tiny, tiny details. That's how you make a paradox portrait. I actually have significant doubts that they put this much effort into it, but well, at least the recent one. If paradox comes across this and you're watching this, which I highly doubt you will, whoever makes the Browder portraits, I love your style, man. Like, do you? Except, what was this? He's a bit cross-eyed, his mustache is cut off, and his hair is pink. Why? Okay, anyway. Yeah, but that's the style I'm going for. Sorry for that, I just wiped across my mic. Really appreciate that type of style. I think it's great. Love the MTG style. I actually really love it. The Mexico leader as well. Really great style. Yeah. Apologize if I sound slightly congested. It is allergy season, and I am highly allergic to pollen. So, yeah, that's how that works. Should have probably taken some, like, allergy medicine or whatnot. But then I would have passed out halfway through here. Because you can't sneeze if you're asleep. That's like Allegra's entire stick is that that our product just knocks you out. I think that's how it works, right? I don't think there's any actual medicinal properties that makes you not sneeze. It's just sort of like, hey, you're not awake, you can't sneeze. Yeah, that line is good, right? Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Oh, so one thing I've noticed, which is sort of interesting, I'll demonstrate here, is that if you go this way, like, it's sort of weird. Generally, like, for whatever reason, Photoshop is actually really sensitive about their pixels, is that they can sense whether you're up or below, like, the single pixel, which is interesting. It's neat. Like, if you're on the bottom half, it has the layer go down here, and if you're on the top, it has it go up here, which is sort of neat. Actually only noticed that recently. I'm sure I sound like an idiot because most people are like, oh yeah, no shit. Apologize if I'm swearing too much in this video. Try not to really, but it's sort of just natural for my train of thought. Maybe I'll bleep it out. I doubt it, unless the video gets demonetized. But I don't think I'm going to monetize it in the first place, so that's out the window. Apologize if there's any young viewers who happen to play Hearts of Iron routinely and have stumbled across some subpar language. And I think the people who are going to be most taken aback here are the Road to 56 team. For first reason, not knowing what I sound like in real life. Now you do. Hi guys, how you doing? We never talk on Discord at all. Probably should. Probably should have some meetups sometime. Just like, hey, what are we doing? When are we doing it? How? Where? Stuff like that. Well, not where, because, I'm sure we all live in different parts of the country. But generally, like, discussing stuff. Something a bit off about his left eye. No, it sort of looks like that. Yeah, that's a bit better. One thing I noticed about Trotsky as well is that his nose is bent this way. I've noticed that when I was looking for portraits for him a while ago. I don't know if his nose got broken when he was younger. Maybe it did when he was in jail. I'm not actually certain. Let me just check real quick. No, it doesn't have any highlights right there. Yeah, this is taking a decent amount of time. I mean, I'm trying to be pretty meticulous with this portrait. Trying to get that nice finish on him because I know how much you guys love that. You know, you hate when it's too shiny or too dull. So you gotta get it just right, just for you guys. I should check my phone real quick. Wow, 9 notifications. How do you do this? Asks U/CMDR voltages. Well, U/CMDR voltages, you're about to find out because you're now in this video. No other noteworthy comments. You know, if any of you manages to like skip through this or to get through this entire video just listening to all my commentary and like totally not putting on some like music in the background as you watch me go through all this and just like, hey, he's rambling, just there's no useful content, just watch the video like normally without sound. I mean, that's fine, I get it, you know, I get it. But like, you know, if you are watching all of this, congrats. I've been known to be insufferable because I don't shut up. So yeah. But again, if you're enjoying and you want like more to see more videos, and what you want to see on those videos especially, let me know. Especially in terms of live streams and stuff. If this goes up tomorrow, I can live stream if you guys wanted me to at the earliest Wednesday. Yeah, I think Wednesday. And I won't do any commentary unless you guys want me to as well. I was just put on some slow jazz, you know, set the mood nice and right. Start doing detail work on Trotsky's mustache, you know, just what you want on your Wednesday evening. I know that's what I want. Oh, it's 1:25. This has been a long video, but hopefully informative on both politics and how to make a portrait not look bad. Go work on his glasses a bit. These glasses don't need a ton of work, just because it's actually really good when things are already like accessories on their face are already like semi-pixelated. Like as in like, you know, they're only like 1 or 2 pixels wide. So that way you don't really need to do much work. I mean, look, that works out. I don't really need to do highlights on it either because his glasses really aren't that important. Perhaps, maybe, future, but I don't know. Okay, so now I'm just going to take a step back and I'm going to look. How's that compare? I mean, he's definitely a lot whiter. It's like a lot more of a yellow tone here. See, that's the only problem is like I'm trying to compare highlights and the way that's working out instead of skin tone, because comparing skin tone, it's actually surprising. Like you'd be surprised at the skin tone difference between people. It is big, you know. It's a lot bigger than you'd imagine. Like just these two. Look at that skin tone difference. Ramsay McDonald. Yeah, this is my older portrait. This is the first one I posted. You guys like this one too. Man, I've actually come a decent way from that in just a matter of weeks. Like my skills have improved because I've made like 100 more of them. Like 100 more portraits. I actually don't know how many I've made. Like 20 something? 30? That you guys have seen at least. I try to post every one I make, but some of them I can't. Either because they're too bad or like, you know, the person I'm commissioning them for doesn't let me. And usually, you know, like I actually do have like a policy of like, you know, if a commissioner doesn't want me to post one, I won't until like, you know, a few weeks later. Because like I get it, you know, you're ordering it, you don't want everyone else to just be able to snatch it up and use it in a mod before you do. But generally I'm like, okay, if by a few weeks you haven't like, you know, implemented your mod in some way, you know, or implemented them into like a usable way that's going to guarantee you to get them out before then, you know, I'm posting it. Because, you know, it's not like, you know, what if I made commission of someone and then someone else wanted to see that and I had it on the ready and I'm just like, well, no, sorry, I can't. Like that's just sort of dumb. But luckily, most of my commissions so far have allowed me to do that. Now there are some commissions like people have asked for like I had two people actually ask to have pictures of themselves put into uniforms like German military uniforms. One kid wanted a Kaiser one, which I am actually working on. If you're watching this video, it should be up soon, or well, it should be done soon. But yeah, I don't show those because those are uh, those are obviously like more personal ones, and everyone would be like, "Who the hell is this?" I'm just like, "Yeah, it's some kid," and I'll have no further explanation, and they'll think I'm like some pedophile or something. All right. I think my detail work on his face is coming to a close. I'm getting pretty satisfied with the way it's turning out, except for this jaw right here. See, a lot of times, you want a sharper end, but at the same time, it's hard to get that. Like, you don't want a fuzziness. That's what you want to avoid as well. Fuzziness. Among all things, is make it clean cut. Do not make it obscure. Do not use the blur tool. For the love of God, don't use the blur tool. Going back to this portrait, he said he used the blur tool a bit. Please don't. It's not worth it. It's not. Just doesn't leave a good quality portrait. Make this edge a bit sharper. It is currently real Bolshevik hours. Start a revolution if you agree. Okay, so I think that's good. Now, facial hair time. And I have taken exceptionally long. I've taken roughly an hour, maybe a little bit more, to do just his face. Now, usually I'd be done a little bit quicker, like I said, because I'm talking, I'm distracted, and I'm not working as fast because my mind's trying to do two things at once. And, yeah, so now I'm going to move on to doing his mustache and everything. Now, mustaches and hair is a bit hard because at one time you want to do strands sometimes, but in other times you just want to do like general blurs. Uh, like as in, let me see if I can find something. Ramsey McDonald, there's a lot more like lines in his mustache. Like you can see distinct lines. Now that's not always preferable. If you look at Browder, there's a few distinct lines, nothing too much. If you look at, this is what, by the way, this is what I was going to first use for Stalin. I decided against it. If you look at this Stalin, like you have some like, blurred areas or well, smudged areas, and then you have a few lines in between. But hair and, the likes is something I've been, working on. It's not perfect. I definitely have some more work to do on it. I try my best. But yeah, it's not always perfect. Not always perfect. Now, when you actually are doing these, you want to turn up the strength to about like 60, 70%, just so you can pull down some more lines for doing those lines in the mustache. You know what? At the end of this, I might just take all this audio and then just put classical music over it. I just make 2 videos. You can either listen to politics and rambling or classical jazz. I think I'm going to scare away some people when I originally post this video because it's going to be like an extra 30 minutes tacked onto it just from the fact of like that I'm going to post a time lapse at the end of it. And I will leave in the description what time the time lapse starts so that way you don't have to sit through all this. And I will sort of like I will recap some things, like some announcements that I've made. At that, well, I guess everyone who sat through here getting to like the hour and a half mark is probably not gonna like care. So this is just a mental note for me, but I'll post something at the beginning of the video talking about the time lapse and whatnot. Probably should have done that earlier. I'm gonna go back and do some more stuff. That sucks. Okay, whatever. I'll live. You want to make sure mustaches fit on the people's face too. You don't want to make it like it looks like it's detached. That's one thing you really want to avoid. I think that's decent. I'd like to see like a little bit more of like a sheen in there. Yes, that's nice. Yeah, that's actually real nice. Man, this is turning out right well. Hope you guys think it's turning out well too. I don't want to spend all this time and then just, oh yeah, it's a pile of garbage. Trotsky really needed an update though. I mean, Stalin needed an update, but Trotsky, oof. I mean, it's a more modern portrait, but man, they did not do too well with that one. Gonna be straight honest. Yeah, for the next videos, tell me what you guys prefer. I don't know how many of you are gonna watch through all of this, or maybe I'm talking to no one because I don't know how many people are gonna look at it in the end. But if you do prefer a non-commentary video, let me know. Just in the comments, just say something like, "Hey, next time can you just put on like some music and just go through it and only make commentary where you need to." That I can do that if you guys want it. Of course, I don't know what you want yet. It's actually the first YouTube video I'm going to be posting ever in my life. Actually, that's not true. Ashamedly, I did post a Minecraft video once when I was like 10, I think. Well, it was a collab with my brother. I will say that it wasn't all me. I wasn't just it wasn't me alone who brought shame onto my family. Anyone remember Minecraft? I mean, obviously people remember Minecraft, but anyone like remember Minecraft as in like outside of it just being like meta or just like, a meme? Like how many people can legitimately claim like, they remember what Minecraft was like? Because I think people have like nostalgia for it, but like does anyone actually like sit down and think like, yeah, Minecraft was weird? Like, because people have nostalgia for like the Minecraft that they remember when they like used to play like, survival servers with their friends or when they just got the game, but no one really seems to remember like going on to like, big servers and like, doing like survival games and stuff like that. No one seems to remember the irritating part of Minecraft. It's either like you view Minecraft as like swamped by irritating 12-year-olds, or you view it as like, or maybe as well you view it as like, a nostalgic piece that you and your friends used to play, but no one ever views it as them being like the annoying 12-year-olds, which we all were, admit it. or like the people that we'd consider insufferable. I think Minecraft either gets like it gets a bad rap in modern times, but in nostalgic view, it gets a really good rap. The problem is like it's not that like simple. I don't think. I think it's a lot more like just that Minecraft is like it's a special thing. It can be good, but at the same time, if it's overplayed, it can be oversaturated, and it can just be bad. And I think that's what people forget. Is like, yeah, they're nostalgic. And they're like, yeah, Minecraft was like great. Remember back in the old days, and just like no one ever remembers like there's a reason we left Minecraft, and it wasn't just because of the influx of 12-year-olds. Because we were that influx of 12-year-olds at one point. It's just there was a new influx, and we didn't like it, so we moved on. And guess what the 12-year-olds now did? They moved on. What do you think Fortnite was? We thought Minecraft got cancerous, but didn't realize that we were our own form of cancerous Minecraft. We just didn't like the new form, I think Minecraft's a great game, actually. It's just, I just think people view it in too solid and too blunt terms. It's like it wasn't all that, I mean, it was great. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't as like great form of nostalgia that people accredit it to. Quite honestly, if you played with your previous self on Minecraft when you were like 12, you'd probably get really angry and you'd probably like just get off. It's gonna be annoying, I remember what I was like when I was 12. It's not fun. Anyway, I think, I don't know, what do you guys prefer, Minecraft tangent or political tangent? Make sure to hit subscribe and smash that like button for more daily content. And also, prop up my G Fuel sponsorship. Man, doing Trotsky's beard is hard. I'm getting tired. This has been going on for an hour and 40 minutes. Let's see if we can reach 2 hours. Yeah, some of my portraits take a long time. Not gonna lie. And if you try, yours will too. Again, I can't repeat it enough. This is not an easy breezy thing. This is not just something super simple. There's no hard formula to it in any regards. It is tough. It is time consuming. It is taxing. Your back kills you. Your eyes kill you. You sit down for longer than you want to. But at the end of the day, if you're getting paid, you're getting paid. You know what I'm saying? Now, of course, I'm not getting paid. I'm doing this as a community service. This one, at least. But normally, I'm getting paid. Now, I would do these regardless. I just wouldn't do them to the capacity. Yeah. The commissions definitely help. Because if I wasn't doing commissions, I probably wouldn't be doing these at all. At least this many. I'd probably be still doing some. It's just they'd be few and far between, and they'd be entirely to my own accord. Because at the beginning I was like, yeah, I'll do commissions, but I'll do some for free, and I'll take people's requests. And then I realized people really like my portraits, and so I got a lot of requests. Far more than I expected when I posted that first James W. Ford one. And that was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm not gonna be able to do all these in a timely manner. So I'm like, I gotta start doing commissions, because like if I'm gonna make this like a full-time thing, then then I need some source of income. Like, well, not some source of income in that sense, but like I have it, but like as in like I just need, some money from how much time I'm going to be spending on this, because doing all those requests would take so much time. So I'm just like, you know what? If you want portraits, it sucks if you can't afford them or don't want to pay them, but I'm gonna need some money because it gets to the point of where it's just like your other money making opportunities are just thrown away for doing these portraits now. In a perfect world, I'd love to do these for free. Maybe if I get like a more paying job, get out of school, you know, get a career, and I'm still for whatever reason playing Hearts of Iron, then yeah, I'll do these for free. But that's a ways away. Gonna be quite honest. And yeah, so that's my current situation. I'm sure many of you didn't ask for this, but I don't know how else to pass the time. That Trotsky beard is gonna piss me off. I'm gonna probably cut it soon. I'm just gonna be like, you know what, screw it. I'll save it for tomorrow morning or something. I know this will be the point of critique. Why is that Trotsky beard so weird? I don't like it. It looks funny. Maybe you should try doing something else. It's too rubbery. See, I don't mind criticism. It's just I do mind when people like criticize me like they could do better. That is something that I do take criticism to. Like, I don't mind people being like, oh yeah, well maybe if you tried this, or this looks too this, or blah blah blah. It's just like that's fine. But like when you like repeatedly do it, and it's like all I can imagine is there was a meme I saw a decent amount ago, just like it's like a fat guy sitting on a couch watching the Miss World competition, just like she's too thin, or no, it's like she's too fat, and it's like showed the dude sitting on like the couch with his dog, just like yeah, just like how are you able to criticize when you're not even close to being, what those people are, as good as those people are? Like, I'm not trying to like toot my own horn or say that I'm like, super good, but I can clearly tell that I'm better than most. Um, Especially people who profusely criticize me. Yeah, like I don't mind critique. Just don't act stuck up about it. Don't act like you can do 100 times better. That just gets irritating. And that one does annoy me. Like most of the other ones are just like they annoy me because they waste my time or they annoy it, or well, that's really the only ones that annoy me otherwise. But the ones where it's just like where someone acts like they know better than you and they could do better. Like if you can, if you're so great at what you're doing, go ahead. I'd love to see your portraits. I'd love to see them. If you're so amazing at it, you know. Because like I don't mind like smaller or constructive critiques. Like Stalin's face is too rubbery. Everyone said that. Yeah, I got it. It was too rubbery. I understand. But when you just go and you start saying, well, there's too many wrinkles, and quite honestly, besides the fact his his hairline is absolute garbage, and I really think you didn't do well here and here and here, and you just start like you give me a whole grocery list of complaints. It's just It's just like it radiates to me in that sense that like you think you can do better, like you're some sort of like professional critic who knows what he's talking about. Like, eh, no. I think it's the difference between like small critique and like overdone critiques. Like, you know, it just shows a lack of appreciation and a lack of like awareness when you just boatload critiques and have nothing good to say. Like most people who critique me are like, someone's face looks too oily, but like it's a good portrait, you know, just like they admit that it's good in some capacity or that there's some redeeming quality about it. It just there's a critique they have, you know. But then you have some people who are just straight critique, and then that's just annoying, especially when the critique is bad. Like the critique that annoyed me the most is like, oh, this doesn't resemble Stalin. What do you mean it doesn't resemble Stalin? Like, are you limited to your view of Stalin off of Paradox's portraits? Like, that's what I'm confused by, because the portrait in game, that if that resembled Stalin, I would be frightened, because no human being looks like that at all, especially not Stalin. Because that was what's funny is that portrait was taken off another portrait. The in game portrait or the base game for Stalin is based off of another portrait that was done of Stalin in the 30s. So it's like double like anti-realism. So it just ended up looking bad. That beard is actually not too bad. Trotsky's looking quite fine over here, just staring into your soul. Yeah. Ooh, I'm getting tired. Go to bed soon. I don't know. I was up to 3 o'clock last night working on portraits. I was actually, well, primarily trying to get the screen recording equipment right, and just like, eh. Because what I was actually gonna do is I was gonna show you guys Stalin. Sort of glad I didn't, because then that would have been bad, because then that wouldn't have been a good video to post up. Hopefully this is. I mean, technically I can't know. Hindsight is 2020, so I might regret it. I might look back and laugh at it. But you never know. Now this probably won't go up until tomorrow night because it's going to take a decent amount of time to upload. Yeah, I still got to do some editing with it. You know, all the fun stuff that you get from making a video. Wouldn't be surprised if people critiqued me on how much I'm talking in this video. You talk too much. Well, I actually did invite people to tell me if I was, so I can't complain about that. Yeah, but I do really hope to see more at u slash vv or vvault vvult. He looks like I would slap him and he would just sit there and jiggle like some piece of ham. Okay, that's pretty funny. That's a good way of saying he looks like raw ham, which he does. But yeah, I I do really hope to see more people starting to try and make more portraits, and if especially if this helps, that would be great. Hmm. Hope you guys can't hear my sniffles and everything. I mean, you might be able to. My mic, when I was testing it earlier, wasn't able to really pick up anything. I'm gonna end this recording. Well, I'm not gonna be able to hear. I'm either gonna be able to hear everything, or I'm gonna be able to hear nothing, and that's gonna be unfortunate. Either way, I mean, I'd actually rather hear everything because then I could just tone it down than hearing nothing. And hopefully it picked it up. My worst fear is that, like, because I move the mic sometimes, like when I drink water or just like move my head around, and then it'll pick up differently at different places, and then the audio will be like inconsistent. You know what's funny? Trotsky, his real name is pronounced Trotsky. Well, I mean, his real name is Lev Bronstein, but in Russian, the character is like a sh sound, SCHT, like Schmidt. But the thing is, like, it's a lot softer. Like we're like Trotsky, but and there's like Trotsky. It's interesting. It's a fun fact. I don't know why I brought that up. Getting low on material. Now somebody has asked priorly why I do this, like this little light ridge right there on the end, primarily because it's done on here, and I think that's a nice little addition to the portrait. Shows like a little bit of an edge, and it also helps clean up the hairline a bit. Give it a little bit of a good tapering effect, I guess. Because hair is hard to do. I don't enjoy doing it. That's my least favorite part. But, you know, even though it's a pain, you still have to do it. Because, you can't just slap a hat on everything. I'm looking at you, Kaiserreich. Actually, you guys are having the hat apocalypse now. It sucks. I enjoyed Hat Mussolini. I did. Bring back Hat Mussolini. Paradox, or I mean not Paradox, Kaiserreich team. If you don't bring back Hat Mussolini, I'm going to stop making portraits forever. Just gonna stop cold turkey. Just never one again. I'm demanding you bring back Hat Mussolini. If anyone from Paradox sees or Paradox Kaiserreich team sees this, or anyone has the urgent need for me not to end doing portraits, go ahead and contact them. I'm going to be officially boycotting Kaiserreich until they bring back Hat Mussolini. That sexy bastard. How is my Trotsky looking? Oh yeah, one thing that's also a good tip is that when doing anything, it's not just hair, uh don't always darken to show depth. As in like depth protruding inwards. Because usually you want to use highlights for depth like going outwards or like bringing stuff out, and you want to use like dark things for depth like inwards and getting it on the face. But one thing interesting is that for for doing that you don't always want to just directly what's it called um you don't want to just darken it always if you're trying to show depth inwards, and same with even like doing like trying to protrude stuff outwards. What you can do, what works actually quite well sometimes, is just instead contrarily uh try to bring stuff out by doing the opposite. Like as in, instead of showing depth by putting darkness there, put light there to show that it's like there is a part recessing in. Because something that people don't notice is that even if you had like a blank, just like flat color, and if you put like a light on it, it just the illusion by having a light somewhere and the general area around that light gives a little bit of depth to it. So, because sometimes you don't really want to make things darker. Like even if you shift it just a tiny little bit dark, it tends to look off. But what you can do instead is that instead of shifting it darker to make it look like it's going inwards, make it a little bit lighter around the area you want it to go in, and then just naturally it'll look like it's getting deeper, even though you didn't use a darker tone. And then the same thing works in reverse when you're trying to protrude something. You can make it darker around it, and even though you didn't make it lighter, you still made it have depth. Let me try to pull an example for you with Stalin. So basically right here, now there's a little bit of darkness right here, but like for instance, like this right here, that's just light. But when you zoom out, it gives a little bit of depth, like there is some darkness under this. Well, this tone all right here is the same tone. It's actually like pretty much the same tone up here too. It's just that when you add that little bit of light, it makes it look like there's a darker tone underneath it, which is interesting. Keep that in mind if you want to. I can't force you to do anything. Unless I could. What evidence do you have that I can't? See, I feel like I'll know who watched the video and who didn't, like in its entirety, based on like the comments, or if anyone brings up me stopping doing portraits because of the hat apocalypse. No one's gonna be watching this video. I'm gonna end up commentating on it for hours on end for no reason. I mean, I'm gonna record the video for hours on end for no reason anyway. Well, I mean, not for no reason, but for like, I'm gonna record it anyway. So maybe I'm talking to myself. Maybe I'm not. Maybe one person out there is like, hey, I'll give this thing a listen, then regret it. But at least they gave it a listen. And I feel some of you poor children out there will end up like being like, well, I don't want to listen to this insufferable commentary, but at the same time, I really want to learn the tips and tricks that he knows, so I'll just sit through it to hear the occasional tip every 5 minutes and just, make it through the rest. And you know what? To you I say, thank you, but quite honestly, how? I don't get how you guys would sit through this, but I'm sure some of you will. I'm sure some of you most definitely will. I don't know, do I want to cut that off or not? It's like, sort of like, do I? I mean, goddamn it, Trotsky. Never keep your hair neat and clean. It's always messy. Whatever, I'll keep it out like that. No, I'm just going back to look at how the hair blends in here. Does the hair even start right there? I don't know. Some of this stuff is hard, man, not gonna lie. Like, taking a black and white photo, that's the real challenge. If we were doing modern portraits, this would be a breeze. Well, I mean, not really, actually. It'd be mainly harder. Just seeing all the detail would be so much easier. Generally, so much nicer, too. I mean, it looks good-ish. See, that's what Trotsky should have done. What he never did is just comb your goddamn hair, man. It's like, it's like, just go to the store and pick up a comb. I could get it. You don't have any money, but like at the same time, it's like right across the street, man. It's like you're in Mexico. I'm sure they've got combs, right? I don't know. To any of my Mexican viewers, do you guys own combs? Like, is that a thing in Mexico? Is that a thing in the rest of the world? To my British viewers, possibly, or anyone else, are combs a thing? I'd like to believe so, but technically, I don't have any definitive evidence to prove that they are or aren't, so I'm relying on your testimony. Dr. Trotsky is in the house. You will not believe the amount of doctor jokes I got off of doing MacArthur. That was, yeah. Actually, I'm not even sure if his coat was white in that, but in the picture it appeared white. But again, it was a black and white photo, so it could have been like just a light tan. But even still, that's like really unnatural for MacArthur to wear such like a light color, even lighter than his like normal shirt, which is like a semi light tan, maybe just normal tan. But yeah, Ugh, man, I'm getting pretty tired. But yeah, this Trotsky's looking well. I mean, this has been going for 2 hours. Might as well just finish it up. Okay, so I want to do the lips. So what I do is take this, use the saturation. Now normally, if like for instance, let's say Trotsky was like, way too pale. Just take the saturate tool and just go to town on him. Bam! Now he's an orange. Or let's say he was way too light, way too saturated, and just bam! Now he's like now he's like a ghost. But I think this is just right, especially once I add in some color. Yeah, basically you want to turn on saturation, take the opacity down to like 16%. You want on like a reddish pink. A bit smaller. Then once you have that base saturation down, just go on normal and then just make it a bit pink. And you can go on overlay too if you really wanted to. Yeah, you got a nice pinkish. Then you always want to get that nice bright color. On his upper lip, or sorry, lower lip, rather. Gotta get the shading. Took me like hours to get the shading on your lower lip. Or no, it was upper lip. Napoleon Dynamite. It's a good movie. Lufonda. Who thought of that movie? Okay, now you want to create a separate layer. I used to do this just directly on the layer. It didn't turn out well. Really didn't. Yeah. Then you want to set the opacity down to like 16. And now, obviously, that looks bad. And then you want to just take this. You want to make it like nice and strong and big. Probably a bit more. 25 is good. And then basically just slosh it around, pull it down to the areas you want it. Now you don't want to pull it up to the eyes because you want to do the eyes a bit of a different way. Pull it up to the nose. Pretty good. You want a nice blend, and then you take the eraser tool and just erase it wherever it gets on the sides and whatnot. Now normally what you can also do is take the opacity down, make it like bigger, and then just you can fade it a little bit. But honestly, I think I like the redness just as is right now. Yes, that's pretty good, actually. But yeah, you want to make sure that the redness isn't bleeding into places where you don't want it. Especially with through here, because you want some sort of distinction, like with the glasses, because there is still lenses in them. Actually, yeah. See, look at you got a little bit of redness right there. Nope, not in my town, province. I actually don't own any land. Okay. Yeah, so that's pretty good. How did him? Now look, he has more color. So now what you want to do for the eyes is you want to saturate them instead, because it gives like I think it just gives a little bit of a better look. It gives them like a more rich orangish feel that people actually have around their eyes instead of like a reddish one. People don't tend to have like that much red around their eyes as much. I notice it's more like orangey, saturated skin colory type stuff. I mean, yeah, you can have red around your eyes, but it's just I just felt that this like fits better. Yeah, one big thing about this as well is you just need to know what humans like sort of naturally look like. I don't know. I mean, I've been doing art for years, so can't really say to people who aren't as experienced what precisely to do. I can try to give help and examples, but I don't know. Again, it goes back to that whole thing of like, in reality, it's sort of left up to like, like your capacity to distinguish stuff for art, like how good of an artist you are. I mean, I wish the best to people who aren't as good as artists. But quite honestly, like I said earlier, I can't necessarily help you there because I can't really gauge how good of an artist you need to be to do this. Because I mean, I work on artwork all the time for plenty of other stuff, so I don't know if it's linked to my other artistic abilities or not. I'd assume it is, but the thing is I'm not entirely certain, so I'm not willing to make that judgment just yet. Trotsky's looking pretty good. Now you want to add that that layer of like darkness and grayness to like for sort of like the shading. Now you want to go with like a dark grayish green. You want to go with a slightly green tinge because it's like the combination of like brown and like yellowish, which creates like grayish green. That's too much. Yeah. And some people you want more than others, depending. Trotsky, not too much. The older they get as well, the less you need it. Actually, that looks slightly better with, I don't know. Yeah, it looks slightly better with the thing over it. So yeah, I'm gonna put that on there. Yeah, and there we go. Pretty much done Trotsky. Actually, a few more things on him that I need to do. Just realized how much easier it would have been to actually just straight live stream this. It's been like told you guys like, hey, I'm doing a live stream. Just come watch it. Like, just do it. It's so much easier. Actually, I don't know what it takes to set up a live stream. I need to research into that. But then again, I'd be keeping all of you up to 2:16 in the morning because my ass doesn't get stuff done until it's late at night. Yeah. Trotsky's pretty good. Not gonna lie. Now, of course, in the morning I might have a different opinion. A very different one. But for now, I think he's good. Yeah, I am going to end the recording here. Well, for right now, you might have a little bit more, in the morning. Well, you guys won't really be able to tell the difference because it's all going into the same video. But, yeah, might have a bit of a addition in the morning, and then I'll be it, and then I'll be done, and then I'll post everything for you. So this should be up relatively soon. Speaking in no uncertain terms. And there we go. Trotsky. I'll actually post him tonight and for everyone to see. And then I'll post the video tomorrow along with the time lapse. Again, I'll include everything I said I was going to include in the description. Actually, since I'll just put a link down below with everything at the end. So, okay, this is the end of the video right before the time lapse. And just want to say for anyone who skipped to this part of the video, you missed some good commentary. And also, my commissions, I'm no longer doing them. Well, not no longer doing them. I'm putting them on halt for right now until I get most of my commissions done, and then I'll reopen them, just as a way for ease for me, so I don't like overburden myself. Also, I'm going to be adding a time lapse, obviously, after this. I was going to say something else. I'm glad to see the the amount of people, or well, at least one person trying out portraits who I inspired to do that, to make portraits and try it out. Uh, it's $5 a portrait if you do want it. Well, I guess it's sort of redundant for me to say this right now, but yeah, in case you're planning for the future, if you still want some, when I reopen commissions, and you can always email me at hoi4portraits@gmail.com. Yes, I made that exactly for this reason. I never expected to be making an account like that, but here we are. And yeah, but over the next few days, I'll be getting just more commissions done and getting everything else updated, and posting it to Reddit. Other than that, I hope you've enjoyed watching, or if you're just going to the time lapse now, I hope you enjoy watching. And I will. Oh yes. Also, if you do want to see me do a time lapse, or you want, or not time lapse, if you want me to do a live stream, or you want me to do any other type of tutorial speaking on certain things and with a way to do certain things, just let me know in the comments. Just let me know in general, and I will try to respond to those and do everything nicely. Until then, I hope you have a good day or night, and goodbye.